So you're selling your house. How much should you expect to pay the buyer's agent?
You're listening to Home Sellers Advantage. I'm your host, Aaron Zapata.
And I'm your other host, Todd Anderson. We are the Bald Brothers team at Impact Realty Group with Real Broker, and we are here to give you the Home Sellers Advantage.
You can find us online at www.baldbrothers.tv. Again, that's baldbrothers.tv.
Or you can call us at 833-305-BALD. That's 833-305-2253.
Hey, well, that's a great question. And before we get to the answer to that question, I just want to say welcome back. It's been a while. You and I have had some trips and some just busyness.
It's been a minute. It's been more than just a minute. It's been several minutes. And some people who watch regularly may say, what happened to the Bald Brothers? I know you're lying awake at night, unable to go to sleep, just confounded over the fact that our channel suddenly, you were getting weekly content and then just suddenly stopped.
Content anxiety. Yeah. So, we're back, and we have had an extremely busy season here. We have been, this really is the busy season for realtors because if you're working with a full-time realtor, you'll know this, that you have the coming listings that need a lot of work in preparation.
That's right.
So we've been doing a lot of prep work with a lot of potential listings. And then we have a lot of listings that go live. And because this is the time when most buyers are most aggressive, we get a lot of offers in, and it's just been a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so we're very grateful for that. We're not complaining at all, because if you have a referral and you want to sell something, we want to help you out there. But the question that we're answering in this video right now is, what should you as a seller expect to pay on a buyer side commission?
Yeah, and of course, that's a question that we're getting a lot, especially now because we have been, as Aaron just mentioned, we've been selling homes and getting a lot of offers, and we've been having a lot of these conversations with our sellers as it pertains to the commission and the buyer agent requests that come in.
Yeah, and so rather than explaining the whole who pays what, there is a short explainer video that we have posted as well that says how it works. We're going to actually walk you through some real-life scenarios that we have had over the last 2 months as we have negotiated and reviewed dozens of offers for our sellers. So let's talk about the property that we sold in Murrieta.
Okay.
So buyers, we had a couple of offers come in, and what did those commissions range from?
Oh boy, I'm trying to remember now because that was a
couple months ago.
We've had a lot of things happen in between. We actually had, I think that we ended up at 2%.
We did.
We did have a range, and really what happened is we had some lower offers come in. We had higher offers come in with higher commission payout, and so it kind of ranged all over the place. We ended up on that one being at 2%. And
when you say we, you mean the seller.
When I say we, but you see, we identify, when we work with sellers, we are on your team. Yeah. And so oftentimes I will, in the language, say we because we are working for you as a team.
That's true. That's true.
So, but yes, Aaron and I, we're not the ones who own the property. And at the end of the day, it was the sellers that saw that come out. Yes.
And so in that particular one, we had the offers come in, and like he said, the buyer's offers come in now, and they ask for a specific percentage to be paid to the buyer's agent by the seller. You used to never have to ask for it as the buyer's agent. It was just part of the multiple listing service. There was an offer of compensation made. You either agreed with it or didn't agree with it, and if you didn't agree with it, you had to add a form. Now you have to add a form every time because there's no offer of compensation made, and so you have to ask for it. And we have seen, and particularly that one, the reason I brought it up is those started with most of the offers asking for a buyer's agent compensation of 3%. And
2.5%, 3%.
Yeah. But a lot of them were 3.
Yeah.
And that was the first one that we had seen at 3.
You're right. We did.
Since the change.
And part of the negotiations in that one was because what the buyers were looking for, in order to get them what they were looking for, we said, well, you're going to have to reduce the buyer's agent compensation. If you're getting what you're wanting, you're gonna have to also give up a little bit on your end as well.
Yeah.
And so that's how we ended up at the end of the day back down to 2%.
Right. Because the buyer's agent compensation is now a negotiable term.
Yeah.
And if anything that comes out of this video, that really is what you need to take away as a seller, is that it is negotiable. And so in that case, it was negotiated down to 2%. It put the money in the pocket that our seller needed to walk away, to enable them to move out of state and do what they needed to do. And so another one that came through, we sold one in Placentia. And this was an interesting one. We had 12 or 13 offers. This is the pool home right here near the office. And this one we closed at the end of last year.
Yeah.
And so we had like 15 offers on it. And those ranged a lot. We had one agent that was representing a family member, and they just wanted basically a flat fee. Was it $5,000?
Something like that. Yeah, it was just a
low.
flat. Yeah, it was a flat. It was pretty low. It was a flat fee, and basically they were doing it for a friend, so they were getting something out of it, but much less than what most agents typically are accustomed to receiving.
And we had agents offer ask for, and this house was over $1 million, and so we had agents ask for 2%. We had another agent ask for $20,000 flat fee, and then the one that ended up getting it was paid 2.5%, or 2.25%.
Yeah,
2.25%. It was negotiated, and the reason it was paid 2.25% is that his buyer ended up bringing the offer in higher than all of the others, and so at the end of the day, the net to the seller was actually more than the agent that only wanted $5,000.
Yeah, and that's one thing that needs to be considered, because sometimes in the negotiations, in order to cover the buyer agent's commission, you can increase the price to absorb that. And ultimately, what's happening is the buyer actually is paying for that because they've increased the price, but it absorbs their responsibility to pay the buyer agent commission.
And so that was a situation where, even though that really low compensation was attractive in the offer, that buyer was unwilling to go higher in price to really net the same amount that this other one, even though they were paid so much more, they offered way more on the home. Yeah. And so all of this stuff, it used to be so easy. Yeah. You look at the sales price in the MLS and you're like, okay, that's the new contract price. That's the new neighborhood price. Yep. And now you got to go look through all the details. Like, well, what did they pay the agent? Did they pay the agent anything? Because we might have to add or subtract to that number.
So these new laws have complicated a lot of things. More paperwork, more negotiating, really to end up with the same result where the sellers are paying their listing side commission, and they're also paying the buyer's agent side commission as well.
Yeah. We're working on another transaction right now where we actually represent both sides, and we represent the seller and the buyer. And by the time this publishes, it will be closed. And there is a reduced commission. There is the commission that we negotiated to be paid on the listing side when we took the listing. And then because we represented the buyer, there was a reduction overall. But again, that reduction was not necessarily because we represent both sides, but because it was necessary to net the seller what they needed to move forward. And so that seller's getting a great, buyer out of the transaction. It's been super easy.
It's been a very, very smooth transaction.
Very smooth.
Yeah, wish they could all be this smooth.
Yeah, right. And in that case, that the seller's happy because they're netting a certain amount. And the question comes up, well, if they wanted to pay you more, could they have? Yeah, the buyer could have paid us more, but we took a reduced fee in order to make the whole transaction work. We're happy, they're happy, seller's happy, buyer's happy. That's the goal. It's a good transaction.
There's something to be noted. This show focuses most on sellers, but a buyer who has now has to have a contract with their buyer agent when they're purchasing a home, and there's a space on that contract where it specifies what the agent will be entitled to in terms of commission. And so, yes, what Aaron said is correct. They could have paid more, but it has to actually be specified in the buyer agent in the contract that they have. Yeah. If it's not in the contract, then no, they can't pay more.
Yeah. So that's a great video for us.
Yeah.
I'm just saying out loud so you guys can look for it. I think that's good. Like understanding the buyer side, even though this is for sellers, it's good for you to know what the buyers are going through because that does play into the psychology of the buyer.
We have to always consider the buyer side of it and their strategy and what it looks like to be a buyer. To be knowledge is power, right? And so if you're a seller, it's important for you to even though you're not directly being a buyer. In some cases you may because you might be selling and repurchasing, but it's important to know what the buyers are dealing with and the contracts that they're dealing with.
And we're now 6 months into this new way of doing things. We have closed a lot of properties since the change, so we're very familiar with kind of all the nuances of how it's working. But one of the other ones that we're also in escrow right now, and again, it's will close before this video publishes, but we got, again, over 10 offers on this property. We listed it competitively, and it needed to be sold quickly. And we opened escrow over $100,000 over our list price. And the winning offer ended up coming from an agent who asked for 0 compensation. And you know, as a seller,
that never used to happen.
It never happened, right? As a seller that's working with us, we need to know, we need you to know as a seller that it's not our job to educate a buyer's agent on how to ask for compensation. And again, I said that we're 6 months into this. So by now we pretty much recognize that, you know, buyer's agents know how to write the contract. Early on when this first happened.
Early on. We had that and we've realized, I think they forgot that they have to request it. But the reality is now there are some buyer's agents that are working with buyers that have said, no, I will pay you out of pocket your compensation. So we can write offers without asking the sellers to pay for the agent compensation.
Well, you and I didn't personally experience this, but I did hear from one of our lenders that said that she was working with a buyer's agent that forgot to ask and closed the deal and didn't get paid.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So it's not our job though to educate the buyer's agent. That's what that agent has a license for. They're supposed to do their job.
Not our job to educate the other side on how to do their job.
And it's not, you know, it's not rude. It's just we have a job to do for our sellers, and we have a fiduciary duty to our sellers to do what's in their highest and best interest. So this came through, and we didn't, you know, by now we're like, okay, they must be paying their own agent, and sure enough, that buyer ended up winning the home, and there were other buyers though that came in at $25,000 more than this one, and it would have netted the seller approximately the same. But in general, by having a $25,000 lower sales price, you know, in the long run, property taxes are a little bit lower. Overall compensation is a little bit lower. Escrow fees, title fees are a little bit lower. And so even though it was only a couple of $100, it really was more than the guy that was offering $25,000 more and paying for his own agent. And so we are seeing that this new law is really changing the way that we receive offers, that we track and measure offers, and that we calculate net to the sellers.
And that's the key. That's the key word. It all comes down to the net profit to the sellers. At the end of the day, that's what we're ultimately looking at.
And when you're working with us, what we do is we put everything on a spreadsheet, and we have all of our formulas in there. We have we basically take and summarize the 48-page offer package into a one-line item on a spreadsheet, and we go look at this one column, and everything in that column says this is the one that nets you the most. Right now.
You have to, because if you've got multiple offers, you got 5 offers, 250 pages of offers, it's very easy to be confused. So we go through each offer in depth and pull out all the most important information, put it on a spreadsheet so that we can go over with you, compare them side by side. Because it can be overwhelming.
It can be. And, you know, some agents do want to go through every single page of every offer. But one of the good things in this revised offer that came out last year is they did put all of the variables in the first 3 or 4 pages. So you might have a really long contract, but all the variables are in the first few pages. And so that makes it easy because all the boilerplate language has been moved to the second half of the offer. And so your purchase price, your days for escrow, your home warranty, who pays for termite, all that stuff's in the first couple pages. We pull all that into a spreadsheet. We give it to our sellers, and they're able to make an informed and an intelligent decision for themselves. So that's what's going on.
Yeah,
that's an update.
Going on. That's our update, and we hope to have to get back to our regular schedule of weekly content.
Hope to.
We will. Okay.
We will. I mean,
we will.
you and I have some pretty busy.
We've got a lot. We've got a lot going on, but we're gonna keep on giving you content.
We're gonna do it. All right. God bless, and thanks for listening today. We are the Bald Brothers team, and you know what we do?
We sell homes.
Yes, we do. And when you have a home to sell, or property to sell, land to sell, condo to sell, give us a call. We look forward to hearing from you soon. God bless. Thanks for listening to the Home Seller's Advantage. The Bald Brothers team is a licensed DBA of Real Broker, licensed by the California Department of Real Estate, number 02022-092. Again, we do not give any real estate, legal, or financial advice. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can call us at 833-305-BALD, or you can reach us online at baldbrothers.tv. Equal housing opportunity.